Hello, I'm Yatish, and this is episode 2 of my 3D raycasting project tutorial. We'll start off by just fixing a feature that didn't work last time, and that is player strafing. Now then, I did it by moving X and Y, X by 4 and -4. That lets you walk through walls while strafing. Instead, you're gonna wanna turn 90 degrees, move 4 steps, and then turn again. This makes it look like you aren't even turning at all, but you are. So now then, it's time to get to the new content. So now we're gonna add raycasting, step 1 before actual 3D game. Also, I'm sorry, I have a bit of a cough, so it's good. There's gonna be a lot of coughing in this. So now, first you're gonna delete all the blocks. Now you're gonna rename this to Raycaster and delete the player sprite. We just want this thing, this little box. I'd suggest converting it to bitmap and changing the color, but it's all up to you. Now, one green flag clicked, we want it to switch to the hitbox. Even though we don't have any others, we might soon. And of course, point in the direct. No. Sorry. Don't rotate. We don't want it to rotate. Now, we'll make it come to the player whenever you press space. So when space key press, point in direction of so point in direction of player, and obviously go to player. So now, if I press space, it sort of teleports to me. So if I were to go here, so now if I held space, it'll just come to me. Obviously, it's not very fast at this, and it takes a while to process the input. Okay, so now for the exciting stuff. Okay, so now we're gonna work on the actual it gliding around instead of just teleporting to us. So now it's gonna be repeat until touching level. Now then, it's gonna be moving 4 steps. Not 1, not 16, just 4. No more, no less. The reason now, first we'll give this a quick test. Working great. The reason that we're going for 4 steps is because we don't want it to be too fast, but also not too slow. If it's too slow, slow raycasting is not good. We do not want that in a raycaster project. But too fast means that but if if you set it to 1, it'll work and it'll be precise. If you were to set it to 1, it's slow but precise. You know? That's what setting it to 1 would do. But if you set it to meanwhile though, so here's an example. It's slow, but as soon as it hits it, it stops. But we do this works, but it's very slow, and we don't like slow raycasting. And if we bumped it up to like 16, then it will be taking too big of throws. So as you can see, it just phases through the walls. Here's another example. A perfect example of this would be this L right here. See, it doesn't detect it since it's jumping right over it because of the speed. 4 is the sort of amount of pixels or the raycaster is, so it sort of fits in perfectly. It's just sometimes it gets hugely lodged in, like here. See, it's just way in there. Okay, so now it's very annoying when it gets lodged into the wall like this, and that's why we're gonna be stopping that. The way we'll do this is to repeat until we're not touching the level, so that it'll sort of mount us back, and we'll move one step so that it's very slow and careful while still being able to like make it through, you know? So let's give this a quick test. We'll go ahead and press that green flag real quick. So now let's give this a test. So it gets in. Oh, I see why. Okay, now we're gonna retry this. So as you can see, it gets into a wall. Uh, oh yes, of course. It should be moving -1 steps. Sorry, my bad. So now it'll move over here and slowly get back out. Let's give this another one. So it mounts itself perfectly in and then comes out. No matter how far you throw it, whether you throw it into a circle, a square, a letter, it will always slowly come back while still being quick. It gets there quick and then comes back quick since we aren't lodging it in the middle of it. So now we are going to add ourselves a more faster method of this because as you can see, not only can you see it running over there, but also it sort of wiggles out. It's pretty funny to look at, but it's not what we want. So we'll wrap this all in a good old run without screen refresh block. So we'll tick this and we'll name this one single ray because that's what it's for. Yeah, so we'll grab these scripts and this, and we'll wrap it all into a nice block, and then throw this one in. I cannot happen to find. Hold up. Single array. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. I think there's a problem with this. I'm gonna deal with it. So please hold. Okay, that was quick. So now, if we do it like this, all right. Oh, here's what happens. It runs to the wall and then wiggles itself out. You know, very, very weird. But if we put all this into the defined single array, and then just add a single array block here, we'll go ahead and restart, and now see what happens. It just teleports straight to it. And if you hold spacebar, you get this cool effect. where you can just spin around and it will just go there. Very cool indeed. Just pop, pop, pop. Okay, now then, we we are gonna add a ray to this. So let's get started, shall we? Now then, to add ourselves this ray, we're gonna need a pen extension. A very fun little extension. Now, first of all, so that we don't have a bunch of lines, we're gonna just keep one and with an erase all. And we're gonna set the pen size to 4, as well as change pen color, set pen color to 53. And you can take whatever you want, but this is a fan favorite. This is like a favorite of many people because it's a nice little Jedi sort of lightsaber blue. Very nice for this. So now, here we're gonna go to player and we're gonna do pen down. Then at the bottom of the script, we're gonna do just simple as that, I'm pretty sure. And now we press space. And would you look at that? Like I said, very nice little Jedi blue. And again, if you hold space, you get a really cool effect. Only one way though. You're gonna have to move right. Left is apparently broken. Who knows why? Oh, never mind, it works. Okay. Let's let's add ourselves let's make this less of a ray gun and more of a ray beam, like just coming out of our faces, like a laser pointer. Our character's just holding a laser pointer around. So instead of when the space key press, we're gonna chuck that into the trash and bring out a when I receive broadcast. And we're gonna have a new message that we'll call we're gonna have a new message that we're gonna call. We're gonna call this Raycast. Or just Raycast. Now we're gonna go down here, and at the very end of our main game loop here, we're gonna broadcast Raycast. Now then, let's see what happens. Press and whee! As you can see, it just stops at a wall instantaneously. If you go in closer, it gets shorter. You go in further, it gets longer. So it always comes from the center of the player, no matter where you are, and no matter what you're doing. Just so if I snag myself into a wall and face the other direction, it still does that. If I were to move forwards and backwards, it looks very satisfying, very very satisfying. So now instead of a laser beam, let's turn this into more of like a flashlight sort of thing. By expanding our vision. So we'll go back to the Raycaster sprite, and instead of the single ray, we're gonna throw in a repeat. 10 works fine. And to make sure that it isn't just a bunch of rays facing the same direction, we're gonna turn this clockwise by 5 degrees. Not too much. So now, now this won't work. Now this won't work when without adding another run without screen refresh. So it's time for the blockception. We're gonna make a raycast block and make sure it's run without screen refresh. Define raycast here, and we'll throw that here. And now we have ourselves this massive flashlight that just looks so awesome. Personally, I just love how this thing looks. I honestly, I could do this for hours upon hours. So fun. Like if we move back, it loads, and if we move in, it's like it's just so awesome, you know? But enough of my stupid thoughts on this. We're gonna No, enough of my stupid thoughts on this. We're gonna add ourselves an FOV. Okay, so oh my god, so the new variable FOV, which stands for field of view. Though the name might not make sense now, it's gonna make a lot of sense with this game turns 3D. Well, 3D in air quotes. So you can set the FOV to 60, or just at normal. But so that we can just have ourselves a bit of fun, we'll make this a slider, and we'll make the minimum value 30 and the maximum 120. Now then, now we're gonna drop this FOV in our repeat area, and because of 60 of these rays, with 5 degrees in between, what didn't would be really spread out. We'll switch this down to 1 degree, just smush them all in, and now instead of having a bunch of rays, we have ourselves this massive, big old bar of nothing but light. If we're shining around a flashlight. It's really cool when you put it against the letters as well. Looks like it's casting a shadow on them. It could be used for some of the coolest games ever. If we move this up, you can see our field of view is just massive, you know? Look at that hello sign. Like we may as well be able to see the whole map like this. If we set it down to 30, our field of view is like pretty small. Not as small as like last time, but pretty small. But my favorite part is that it doesn't spread out into a bunch of lines. That look nice, like a laser light show, but now it just feels like one massive bar of light, and I love that. And if you moved it here, you can just see how different 30 and 120 are. And 30 can just about fill this up, while 120 goes beyond it. You know? Really makes you realize how big of a difference it is. And also, it's really fun whenever I put in this box. Makes it look like it's nothing, and then you turn around and it's just all this. So you might have noticed it's a slightly off center though, which really bugs me out. So to make sure it's on center, you're gonna see our turn block, yeah, right here. Wait, hold on. So now we're gonna make this counterclockwise by half, which is just our FOV divided by 2. And now it'll be on center, as you can see. This just feels much more real and will help even more during our 3D one of these. This is a bug you have to fix, otherwise, like, it's a game-breaking bug, you know? Now let's make this 3D. You know, like the main reason we're doing this for a nice 3D game. So we'll make ourselves a new variable, x, for the sprite only. So we're gonna set x to negative 480, I think. Hold up, I have to check. Sorry, we have to set x to negative 240. Along with change x by 240 divided by FOV. So if we set it to 51. So now we're going to so now we're gonna have to remove pen up and pen down. This means that it's no longer 2D. We don't want 2D things now. So first of all, we're gonna have to discover the distance between the Raycaster and the player. So let's make a variable for that. Distance. The sprite only, of course. And you gotta set distance to, sorry, it's in sensing, I think. Distance to player. You can also just hide these two. And we're gonna make another new variable, which is going to be height, so that we know the height of the wall, and for the sprite only. So we'll set height to something divided by distance. I'm pretty sure this shows how high the wall is. So for now, we can just set it to 4,000. It's tricky. So now we're gonna put in a go to coordinates block, and we'll throw in our x and our height for our y. So now we gotta pen up. Sorry, now we're gonna put the pen down on the paper and set y. Sorry, set y to 100. Sorry, 0. 0 minus height. And then pick the pen back up. Now then, now things get really weird, glitchy. You can see that we're actually half 3D. Not fully 3D, but half 3D. So we can go down here, collide. We're gonna have to make this other half. So, let's get to it. So, let's. Okay, my bad. We happened to set this to 240, meaning it would only load half the screen. If we set this to 480, now then, bam. Now this is very, very trippy, having the map and the lines like this. But if we set this to 120, it's really just really trippy, sort of. But don't worry, we're gonna be fixing that. This is 3D. If we set this to 30, mm, it's even weirder. We'll just set it back to our main of 60. So we can travel around, have some fun, go around the stripy area. Very, very cool indeed. But it looks very weird, and I still have this open. So let's change that. Thank you for watching so much. I can't believe you made it through all this. And so, in order
And I
to
do hope you have
sort
a
of
lovely
make this better, we're gonna have to change the set ghost effect to 100. Don't hide it, because then it won't even be able to detect it, our player. So we just be phasing around through walls. So now it feels much more realistic. You're getting. I really like how the player seems to just be running around like a canary through the screen, but you don't want that. This is just step one of making it look less crazy, but it's already done a lot. If you set this to 120, it gets really crazy. It's also super fun to just slide your head on the wall. Okay, enough of me being a 3-year-old. Okay, so now we're gonna wanna sort of make this less like this works fine, but it's all distorted. So some people might not want your field of view to be 120, and if you set it to 60 or something, it gets all stripes. And we don't want to play our game made of striped walls, you know. So we can add ourselves, so we can add ourselves a resolution slider. No, hold up. So let's add ourselves res, short for resolution. And as soon as green flag is clicked, yeah, you're gonna want to set resolution to 8. And we'll make this a slider with the minimum being half of 8, 4, and the maximum being double 8, 16. So now we're gonna add something very important. So you're gonna grab your res and set pen size to that, and bam. As you can see, very thin, but then as soon as you set it to higher and higher, you can see it gets more and more thick, you know? Very cool indeed. But it's still stripes, and how are we gonna fix that? Well, so now we have to fix all of this. Here in the define raycast, Repeat 5, turn 1 degrees, and change x by 480 divided by 5 have to be changed. Let's make a new variable. Scan lines. This is going to be useful for fixing this. So you're going to want to set scan lines to res. Alright, hold up. Sorry, 480 divided by res. And you're going to want to repeat for scan lines now. Now then, you're going to want to do FOV by scan lines for this turn 1. And then, finally, you're just going to want to switch the X to scan lines. With all that being done, oh, okay, I made a mistake. Please hold. Okay, so you were meant to change X by res, and now everything looks far better. You can see that something, you can see that over here. It's all just looking great, you know? Collisions are working right, as you can see. I can bash my head into the wall and not phase through it. And everything and all the walls are looking far better, making it look more like actual walls than a bunch of stripes. You can increase resolution. You can increase resolution to have less lines, or you can decrease it to have more lines. It all just depends on how you like to play. If you know, if you feel like this is now, then this gets really trippy. So I'm gonna set this back to 8, and I'm gonna move this down to 30. A really fun thing I like to do is try guessing where I am, the map I made. For example, right now I think I'm in my hello sign. This is my H. Meanwhile, if I move down here, if I were to like, yeah, this is probably my spawn box place. Yeah, this is it. It's very nice and loads of fun. Now, something that's a real problem is whenever you set to an odd number, whether that be 9, 11, 15, every time they have these tiny lines in the middle, which sort of undoes all the progress we made. So, let's fix that. Now, instead of set x to negative 240, we can do a divide, we can do a subtract. We'll subtract, um, hold on, there's a bit of noise going downstairs. Let me get that real quick. Okay, I've dealt with that. Now you're gonna want to do 240 with res. Sorry, let me just find, yeah. With the res, um, FOV, I think, divided by, oops. Let me undo that. Sorry, I just have a bit of a headache. So we're gonna do res divided by 2. Sorry about how long that took. So now everything should be working for if I have the resolution on 8. If I have it on 9, no weird gaps in the middle. Okay, so now we're gonna have to add one more thing. So if you were to set this to a 4, everything's really trippy and all, very crazy. But something that's very annoying, and that is just always gets on my nerves. It's hard to tell where like a corner is, and it always just feels like it's the same distance, even though it's not. So let's add ourselves some shadows. So we'll get ourselves a pen, set pen, saturation, brightness, transparency, set pen brightness, and but now if it's a larger number, then it's brighter. So if I set it to 1, but if I set it to 90, if I set it to 600,000, it just might become fully white. So now you're gonna wanna add a distance, grab your distance block, make it up subtract, and subtract something from distance, and no, hold up. Okay, so now that I have that dealt with, distance divided by 1.5, and we're gonna have to add 120 here. So now it adds this very ominous look. So you don't know what's back there, even if it's just a wall. And it looks very cool. It really adds a lot of depth to this, even though the whole like main thing is depth. It really makes it feel 3D. Before that, it was like 2D engine that made a slightly 3D looking game, but now it feels like this is a 3D game, you know? Yeah. So that's all that I'm adding for now. I hope you like that. Please feel free to take your time before watching the next one. And bye.